Many thanks for choosing us. The Ghana Education Service has mounted a strong defense of its decision to procure TM1 laptops for Ghanaian teachers following widespread criticisms. The defense comes as Education Minister Dr. Ayodichum is hauled before Parliament on the procurement. We'll hear from the minority spokesperson on education shortly, but first, some teacher unions say the laptops are poor quality and not fit for purpose. They also say they were not asked for consent before being deducted from their salaries. But at the handing over of those laptops to teachers at Orali Senior High School today, Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Kweso Opoku-Amankwa, rejected the criticism, saying the laptops are of high quality.
It's a brand name that is different. And we also have a special reason for making that brand name different. When you put the same brand, you give the same brand to them as what is on the market, you are likely to have those things. I mean, we are working with human beings. You are likely to have some on the market that may not be of the quality that we have provided, slipping into the distribution process. And we believe that giving it a unique brand name will help us as a security measure. We also went to the table and then we saw how the processes that they go through to collect it. As I've also indicated, the institution, the KA Technology, has given 2-year warranty.
Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Dr. Clement Apak, who has filed a question for the Minister to answer, alleges the selection process in the award of the contract is fraught with corruption, arguing the company selected in the procurement and distribution of the laptops has no track record and was only registered this year.
If you look at what we are witnessing, the complaints that aggrieved teachers have brought forward, and you truly look at the discourse and the information available so far, they have every reason to be dissatisfied with the current arrangement. First of all, when the Vice President launched this initiative, some of us were on record to have indicated that the issues surrounding how the initiative came to be, the company, the 70% versus 30%, and all of that, created something that one would consider as fishy. Fishy. And if you look at...
Is that what you believe now, that there's something...
Well, and that is why I have filed a question to Parliament. Well, we have heard the teacher unions, we have heard government, we have heard the members who are supposed to be the beneficiaries. And so once the beneficiaries have an issue with the benefit, that presupposes that there is a problem. Because ideally, this is supposed to help them. But the way and manner in which it was done, and they've talked about issues of transparency, the fact that they were not informed with regards to the...
But we are told that the leadership of the union made this arrangement with government in the provision of the 1 laptops to every teacher.
Yeah, but why do you make arrangements for your members without their full consent, without their buy-in, without consulting them? This is the problem. Because if they had done that, I don't think that the hue and cry from the teachers would be justified. But because they did not include them in the process and carry them along, because the process seems to be a bit murky, not transparent, that is why we are where we are. And that is why some of them have gone to court, some of them have petitioned the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. Some of them have come to me personally. It is one of the reasons why I filed the question, so that we hear, how was the company selected? What is the track record of the company? Why were the teachers not informed that monies were going to be advanced to the company which was supposed to supply the laptops? They should have known all of that. And we also have heard concerns about the quality of the laptops. The quality. I've seen videos where some of them have already broken down.
The laptops, yes. The brand new laptop?
Yes.
For the teachers?
Essentially, many of the teachers are saying they are not fit for purpose. And if you ask anyone who is IT savvy, the capacity of the laptop, in terms of the specs, storage, memory, and what have you, is just about the same as a high-end techno phone. And truly,
you're liking the laptop
yes,
that we are giving to the teachers to a techno phone?
It is the capacity. I am not saying it. Ask those who have done, and I've seen the research. I've been given specs of the high-end techno phone and the specs of the laptop. And so that also raises questions. Even if we are going to expend the colossal amount of money, and if you look at the price and you do the numbers, 285,000 pieces. It works up to slightly below 450 million Ghana cedis. That's no small money. I would have wished that we just go and get fit for purpose, high-end, durable, brand recognizable laptops for our teachers.
Dr. Park says the minority will push for a full-scale parliamentary probe into the selection of the company and the procurement of the laptops if the answers provided by the minister are unsatisfactory.
You have reason to believe that there has to be a probe. So I am not saying it. I don't have any reason to question the integrity of the leadership of the teacher unions. I don't have any reason to doubt the commitment of government. But when you have these factors hanging, this deal smells fishy. And the only way we can get to the bottom of this is to get the minister to respond, whilst the other processes as initiated by the aggrieved teachers are ongoing. I can tell you that there is a lot of advocacy for me to file a private member's motion for a whole parliamentary inquiry into this issue, because we need value for money. Whether we like it or not, the state is supporting this initiative with 70% of the total cost. So the people too must get the assurance that what has been done gives value for money.
Away from Parliament and the one teacher, one laptop, it's just hours to go for the latest raft of measures expected to keep the spread of COVID-19 to take effect. And already the Ghana Health Service says the Omicron variant of the infection is spreading through our community. Starting this midnight, new measures will kick in to try and halt a possible spike in cases. We'll come to the measures shortly, but the Ghana Health Service insists that even though the Omicron is spreading in inland, it has not overtaken the Delta variant as a dominant strain within the community. He believes an aggressive vaccination drive could avert a possible fourth wave in the country.
Time, we have sequenced about 66 community samples that were negative. Okay. The current one is giving us some Omicron in country. I think about 7 of them have been reported within the community sample, but that is to be expected because we are letting as people enter. They are more likely, we may be having people who are incubating, so we have seen some now. But still, the leading variant is still the Delta among the community.
Okay, so you've talked about 66 communities. Earlier you said 34, but I was asking if we know how many exactly in terms of Omicron after the sequencing. Because the earlier communication was 34. Has it increased? Do we know how many exactly?
The 34 was for the 116 at the travelers that was done. At that same time, we had done about 66 community samples, which were labs within country, and that's 0 for Omicron. The second batch, and I think about 40 or so, we have seen some Omicron in country.
And you say that's a 7, so in addition to the 34, that's all?
That's what we know.
Okay.
That's what is recorded.
Okay. Well,
so as you go on to do your sequencing, you may find some. The most important thing is that it is in the community, and so that's what the caution for us to be more careful.
So are we chasing it? Do we know we are in control? 7, in which communities you would want to tell us?
The most important thing is that all the preventive measures that apply, as to whether it is prevention through the mask wearing, hand washing, social distancing, they still work. Vaccines still work. Even though there is some evidence of some escape, it still works. So all the measures that we have still applies. What we need to do is intensify it and make it more effective to prevent transmission from one person to another.
Well, just so you may know the measures we're talking about, I'll share a few of them with you. It starts with all persons 18 years and above arriving in Ghana will be required to provide evidence of full vaccination for a COVID-19 vaccine. And that's the first. All unvaccinated Ghanaians and residents of Ghana who are currently outside the country and intend to return within 14 days from the midnight of December 12 are exempted. However, they will be vaccinated on arrival at the airport. All Ghanaians traveling out of the country are to be fully vaccinated effective midnight December 12, 2021. A person is said to be fully vaccinated when he or she has taken the full dose of vaccines approved and registered by the Food and Drugs Authority and 2 doses of AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, and Sputnik V to be declared as fully vaccinated, or 1 dose for Johnson & Johnson to be declared as fully vaccinated. Now, so these are the COVID vaccines that have been approved and registered by the FDA: AstraZeneca, Sputnik V, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna. And the other arrival requirements remain unchanged. The 72-hour negative PCR test requirement prior to travel, completion of the health declaration form. All persons who arrive in Ghana will undergo antigen test. But the country's race to defeating the virus through vaccination may be derailed by vaccine hesitancy. While health authorities hint of imposing a vaccine mandate to force people to take the jabs, there are still some people who are hesitant in taking the jabs. Michael Ashale has been speaking with some of these in Accra.
We are here to talk about COVID-19 and the vaccination exercise. It's been going on for quite some time now, but the Ghana Health Service has declared the month of December the month of vaccination. We're here to speak to the indigenes of Greater Accra, especially here in Bukom, to talk to them, indulge them on the vaccination exercise. One, have they heard about it? And what do they make of it? Have they gone for their jabs? Which we are hoping that they would have. But let's see what we'll find out from the people themselves here. Often, good morning. Often, I'm a bit of you, vaccinated back in Corona. Ma bibo akashi onu hello vaccine onu hello. Okay. So she won't talk to us. Ma bibo akashi vaccination by the back in coronavirus. Onu hello. Onu vaccine. Okay. She me try she chofane akehan ni kan helande ba coronavirus onu he. Me wa ya gbuko eko.
Ma gbumi me fi o.
O make ashime be because ake kun eba Omicron hu eba. O me be o mo.
Ni le mo na wi olenle. Nduko ewu.
Oh, so she says that she knows about the vaccination exercise, but she's not gone for it. She's waiting for some time to elapse before she goes in for the vaccine. No final people actually vaccine chofane back in COVID the coronavirus onu hello.
Ovane.
Ni mi no nu ye he. Mi na ke back she feel.
Aga ko gun ehikan awo gbeme che lojiro ni nu na ke efi.
Ni goden chema be wa ke she oya gbon ekolo.
Ovane ngbuko.
Mi ne o gboko eko.
Lai ya jenchon lo kente ni yagbon e. Mi enche ke nkola ya ke mba mata shi njon e.
Tuma boy nye o teje me.
O nteje ntemo shiete.
Kuma bi mbe patan do te.
Ya methodist yaliem.
She bola ake chauffeur e o mi no la chance na agbo no ya gbo.
O maya. No mi first en aka ke ko han bi fofo. Onyo gbo economy mi han bi la yi ofofo. She dani banan li aka o. Akeko bi le na to mo 8 months ke ya o ba nye ni ogun. Lo ni na ka ma ya ma.
So, well, she's telling me that she also knows about it, except that she's tried to queue up to take the vaccine several times. She says 3 times. However, she always gives up just before it gets to her 10. But she's hoping that she'll still go for the vaccine. Let me ask some more people here. Ima Ofana, good morning. Good morning. Ofana, I'm a people actually corona chofan neba onu hello.
Ofana enu.
No onu he o agbo ekolo.
Ofana ngbo la yan ti se na ma gbo e. Ami te me pa be wale. Shika son wo fiti ono wo si gbe la ke wo ba gun no wo pa gun wo gun.
O wan tie he wale hila o gun.
Na ke le be ni mo ba fe mi.
Ba awia keshi corona den che ho ba ni ho be wale o mi no she gbe akeshi o ba gbo corona vaccine.
Bebe na awie le eni wo mo so wa ke be ni ma show am lashin. E was ani wo gun ne cover wo. Shi bi ani be ni wo na want to say ko me ke be ni me ko me yu aka me agun amenye akene ekun am ke ni bi ye. Ani wo na gbe se mo wo yen wa agun.
She again na kan hela jemo fi amon na ko be he wale me feel penny na na kan condition me na e wo e wale akeshi wa go because hela hun ne ba o ba nye gbe gbomo.
Ele na kan wo wale na kan ba le gbomo egbe wo san wo protect wo. Shi bi me go be ni me ko me hu wo ke be ni wo nte agbu ke be ni ibale e won agbe se mo ba wo yi wo nye wa ske wo na gun wo ba gun shi bi ni ibale wo nye
so she's been telling me that she's heard about the vaccine all right, but she's declined going to the hospital to take it because relatives close to her have fallen ill after taking the vaccine. And she says that, well, that is preventing her. She has fears that she may go through the same situation, so she's not been able to take the vaccine here. Let me get closer to some gentlemen. I'm speaking to some ladies here. They seem to know, but not so much. Not any of them have taken the vaccine. This morning, Imbra, often know what time you feel living in. My people question could be, often one people about corona to find about vaccine neighbor. I will actually call you no way.
Often le lokombo, but I get me loko.
She onu akashi vaccine neighbor to find back corona.
Often no ya ke le agbuleken loko.
Okay, my people. Sort of no akashi koye.
Oh, kema wi too much of us and le ke me pin na me compare about chofan ke ka me gbon amenye ame body mi wa me no efe to mo wonye me ko me hun segbe ya ke an ba ya na me ba agbule kan chofan ne oji ye mo ma je ka an oyo ni.
Okay, o gbe se mo ya ko shi o le mo ko ni benke bo wa ni ya gbon ko.
Oh, me wo shi ambo me egbon she ko le nu chumo le ken wo gbomo yen na time no ken bodromo na gbomo na time.
Okay, oh nu chumo e wo gbuku e.
Yeah.
Okay, she na be ba agbon.
Okay, na be ele sani ma gbon ake wa se ni me gbon e ni amegbo ele sani mi ma gbon.
Okay, yo. All right, don. So that's him there. He says that well, he's heard about the fears. He also has fears, but he's not discouraged from taking it. He tells me that his busy schedule is what's preventing him from taking it here. So we are still here at Bukom interacting with residents here on the vaccination exercise underway for the COVID-19 vaccine here.
You heard some residents of Jamestown in that interaction with my colleague Michael Papania Shali. Let's get on to Zoom and speak with Dr. Dacosta Abuaje, who is the leader of Ghana's COVID-19 risk communication team. Dr. Abuaje, I'm grateful for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Aisha.
First, I want you to clarify this for me. Has the way been cleared for breastfeeding mothers to take the jab? I'm asking
it has
this.
often been cleared for breastfeeding mothers to take it. So I don't think there has been any qualms about that. It's only pregnant women that we are saying that they shouldn't be taking.
All right, that's well explained. Now, tell us how preparations, towards these new measures are shaping up.
Thank you very much. So last week, about 10 days ago, we announced that we were going to do, we are declaring the month of December as vaccination month, which it is on course. Now, within this week, we are moving into a campaign mode. So 24 from now to the 29th. So we will be moving into a campaign mode. But what we've been doing is we've been taking the vaccines to people. We're going to homes with transport stations or trotro stations.
All right, so Dr. Da Costa Boaje is with the COVID-19 team. He's with Risk Communication, and he's been explaining to us the measures that have been put in place as the festivities. Is Dr. Boaje back? Dr. Boaje, go ahead and explain to me how far preparations are.
Yeah, so I was saying that since we declared December as a month of vaccination, we've put into various homes, we've been going to places where people gather, we've been going to various transport stations, and across
okay.
And when you go, there are heaps. And as you heard from some of the people that you interviewed, some of them actually say that they've heard about the vaccines, and when they go there, there are always queues. So we are trying to address that situation. But what I can tell you is that we have more vaccines to make sure that the population are vaccinated.
Now, the bit about vaccine hesitancy is what is bothering everyone. This would definitely have an effect on your vaccination drive.
Yes. In fact, we've done some research into this, and we know that yes, there is a bit of vaccine hesitancy. But the last I remember, I told you that maybe it's Evans. I told Evans that the kind of hesitancy we are having here is it has to do with people's preparedness to go to the centers to get vaccinated. So, for example, they do not reject it, they take it. So we have made it a point to take the vaccination to churches, to marketplaces. And any time that we have done that exercise, a number of people do get the vaccines. So I think our hesitancy problem is not really a case of people do not want to take it, but it's like they don't have the time to go to the centers to take it. But I also agree that there may be few with concerns that, okay, it may cause them other diseases, or the initial vaccines will give them some kind of they'll be uncomfortable with it. So what we have to do now is still to continue to educate the population. But I can assure you that for each of the vaccination teams, we will have a health promotion person in there to give education to the people. And we are also increasing our radio, that's the above-the-line communication, where we do adverts on TV and other things, aside the community mobilization that we are doing.
I needed to also throw a bit more light on this, the Ghanaians living in the diaspora who wants to travel to Ghana before December 12th. Yeah. What exactly is the procedure for those people?
Okay, so it is simple. I'll break it down. It's simple. So we are saying that if you want to enter Ghana, and if you want to enter Ghana, you have to satisfy 3 criteria. Now, what are these? Number 1, you have to have a negative PCR test. Number 2, you should be fully vaccinated with any of the approved vaccines from our Food and Drugs Authority or certified WHO vaccines. Now, there's a caveat there. With the WHO vaccines approval, when you get to Ghana, we will give you one of the FDA-approved vaccines in country, because we have some vaccines that have not been approved by our FDA, but WHO have approved that. So that is for that. But when you get to our airport, we also test you with the antigen test. So these are the three things you have to meet before you enter Ghana. Now, for those, for we have given a 14 days window to those people or those Ghanaians who are out there who did not know that we were going to impose this on them. So we are saying that for them, the airline should admit them, but when they get here, we will vaccinate them at the airport. Now, should any airline bring in a passenger who is not vaccinated, we are going to charge that airline $3,500 per each of the unvaccinated passengers that they bring. So we have given them enough orientation. We have obviously spoken to them. The airport company has reached out to them. All the foreign embassies do have that. So they have also spoken to them. And I think everything is on course for us to execute that.
The last time we spoke with you, there were some resistance coming from those involved in the mandatory vaccination, especially commercial drivers. How has that been resolved?
Okay, so thank you so much. So I got in touch with them, and they have actually provided us with the centers that they want us to vaccinate them. Now, I must assure you that everything is ongoing, everything is going on well. We are contacting them by day, and they are even mobilizing for us. They are mobilizing their people in the various transport stations for us to vaccinate them. So we send our mobile units to the stations to vaccinate them. And we'll continue with that exercise. But I can tell you that within the Greater Accra region, we do have all the contacts of all the station leaders. And we'll be reaching out to them, and they are mobilizing for us. The engagement is going on well. I talk to them often as well.
But for those of us who have been fully vaccinated, I'm talking about those who've taken 2 jabs or even 1 jab of Johnson & Johnson, we're told that we still need a booster to survive the Omicron virus. Is that the case?
We've had several meetings on this, but let's look at something. You see, we are looking at equity. Now, our target is to get 20 million population vaccinated, as declared by the president. Now, as we speak, we've done about 7 million. We have about 13 to go. We do have enough vaccines now. More of the vaccines are on the way. So our focus now is for us to get that 20 million target that we propose. Then, if we have to look at giving boosters, then we can still look at the vulnerable groups, maybe people with underlying conditions, the health workers and other things. But we are not there yet because, I mean, it will not be fair for us to be giving boosters whilst others are not getting the vaccines. So we are thinking through. At the moment, we are not there yet.
So what are people like us supposed to do, especially as we are privy to information that this Omicron is no respecter of the vaccines available?
I think, the Omicron is new. We are all learning. But the information I have is that, obviously, scientists are to come up with a level of protection that the 2 doses give. But I know that, work is ongoing. So there has not been any definitive answer to whether protection, the 2 vaccines will protect you from Omicron. But it will certainly give you some protection. But, people are now advocating for a booster, I know in some countries, but it is not definitive. The scientists are now working. We are all on the platform, so I know the international scientists are working. And I'm sure that very soon, as we go, more information will come into what level of protection these vaccines will give and whether we need a booster. or not.
So these new measures, they've kick-started right from yesterday, last night?
Okay, so let me give a little bit of clarity. So the Ghana Health Service issued an alert.
Okay.
So that was an alert. So that was to say that this is our intention, and we intend that it starts on the 12th.
Okay.
Now, the airport company that we've been working with, they also said that they've consulted the airlines, and the airline says that they need more time. So giving them 2 days from the 12th, so it ends on the 14th, midnight of the 14th. Okay. So I think today is 13th, so tomorrow midnight, these protocols will fully kick in.
At the airport. All right. I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Dacosta Boaje, he's leader of risk communication team of the COVID-19 setup at the Ghana Health Service. And still to come on the pulse, it's been almost a year since government called on Ghanaians to contribute their quota to building a national cathedral for the country. A year on, we'll be assessing the status of this edifice. Welcome back to The Pulse. Now, on March 6, 2020, President Akufo-Addo symbolically laid a foundation stone for the construction of the National Cathedral to begin. There's a lot of national interest in this monumental project. It's been almost 2 years of fundraising and construction. Let's understand the status of the project now. We're joined in the studio by Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng. He is a member of the Board of Trustees for the Cathedral. Reverend, I'm grateful for your time here.
It's a privilege being with you too.
First, let's understand how far are we with contributions to putting this edifice on its ground?
By the grace of God, I think it's going well. We started by what we call the sensitization and the mobilization of the people. And so we launched the fundraising. There is a difference between doing a fundraising and launching the fundraising.
Okay.
And so for the first year or two, we launched the fundraising in a couple of places, in the US, in Kumasi, in Accra, in a couple of places. We are now doing the actual fundraising because the transition between the time of sensitizing and the mobilization of the people and the actual fundraising, structures had to be put in place to be able to let the fundraising be as effective as we want it.
So far, we've had enough to put something together?
Sure, we've had enough. Work has started aggressively on the site because we have timelines.
Okay.
If you look at from the day that this whole vision was spelled out by the president, the 6th of March 2024 will be 7 years. And so by the 7th year, we believe, by the grace of God, on the 6th of March 2024, the project will be completed.
So definitely, I'm seeing some visuals on the screen. Shows that work is already ongoing at the site. Would you be kind to explain to us exactly where we are with the project?
Thank you very much. If you go to the site right now, you might see about 300 or 400 or 500 workers.
Okay.
But in the next 2 to 3 weeks, as the schedules explain, we're going to be having over 1,200 to 1,500 Ghanaians working on the site. And all of us know that where the challenge is, it's not the building itself, but the structure, the foundation that will carry the building. And so they are working on the foundation, and very soon they will be done. So soon people will see the actual building coming up. And so they are working on the foundation, and in a couple of weeks we are going to see over 1,500 Ghanaians, because 96% or 97% of all the workers on site are Ghanaians. Some are professionals, some are artisans, and some are consultants, and all kinds of people.
Let's understand what this whole project entails. I mean, the whole building. Is it a 3-story building? I mean, how many rooms are we expecting, after this is completed?
This is a project that I can boldly say no country
in our sub-region, no country in our continent, and no country in the world has ever been able to do. Some call it an ambitious project, but I believe that for where we are as Ghanaians, this cannot be categorized under unrealistic ambition. We are able and capable to do it. We have what we call the National Cathedral, and that was the original vision of the president for us to build a National Cathedral where we can have state funerals, where we can have the swearing in of presidents, where we can have a place to bury our presidents when they die, where we can have other auditoriums and places to rent out to people. Right now, if multimedia is to organize even 5,000 people, it has to be on a park. There is no auditorium that is able to accommodate. The biggest we have is the International Conference Center, which can only take 1,400 people. And so this particular project has a lot of spaces, conference rooms, a lot of spaces, besides the fact that it's a national cathedral. And so at first, a lot of people thought that we were going to just build another church. Consider when His Excellency Flight Lieutenant Lawrence died. Look at where he was buried. Look at where he was laid in state, if it had rained. When Kofi Annan died, it was at the International Conference Center, which of course could not accommodate a lot of people. So this is going to serve a national interest, not just for Christians per se, but for the nation. And then on the other side too, we are building what we call the Bible Museum. A lot of people don't even understand that there is the business white man who came to colonize us. And there is also the philanthropic white man who came to empower us. If you look at all the good schools in the whole of Ghana, schools like Prempeh College, Opokuwari, Wesley Girls, Holy Child, and St. Mary's, every single good school in first-class school was built by the church. And so these are what is going to be entailed, things that we don't even know that when Jesus was being pursued by Herod, it was Africa that saved him. Joseph had to bring him to Egypt. And all of us know that civilization started in Africa. And so this is the concept of the whole museum. If you are to go to the American Bible Museum and you see, it should be an experience. It's an experience that atheists go to experience, Muslims go to experience, everybody goes to experience. It's something that is mind-blowing. And I remember the one who built the Washington National Museum, when he heard that we're doing something of this nature, he saw it's right to, in a way, come and help us. So he resigned from being the president of the Washington Bible Museum, which was and is still the biggest Bible museum, to be on the seat of our consultants and to help us do something better than what the Bible Museum did. And so I am proud to say that by the completion of this project, Ghana will have the biggest Bible Museum in terms of space and in terms of content. And so, and the third aspect of it is that we are building what we call the biblical gardens, whereby every fruit and vegetable you see in the Bible, every food you see in the Bible will be in the garden. And we are in consultation with the Jewish community, with the Jewish government, to be able to break a part of the Wailing Wall, which of course attracts a lot of people to Israel. And so, you know, we are trying, the president asked us to build a cathedral, but we saw that we could build what we call the religious tourism with this cathedral that he gave us. We also have a biblical restaurant, so that if you want to eat any kind of food that you've seen in the Bible or in Israel, there's a biblical restaurant right there.
Even the apple that
every single thing
to Adam.
That's interesting. If it still exists in Israel, then we are going to have it.
But after all this said and done, there's still many people, and I'm sure you've been following the controversy about whether we really need a cathedral when we have other pressing issues like schools under trees and what have you. Do we really need a cathedral? What do you say to people who have actually championed this cause?
It's quite unfortunate. You and I know, Aisha, that we've been very good neighbors, Muslims and Christians, and you know, for the past 30 years. Although we have had problems in Ghana, there is a problem with schools under trees, but the government is able to support Muslims go to the Hajj. You and I know that there are still people under schools, under trees learning. But we have money to sponsor Black Stars. I'm not undermining the Black Stars, but for so many years we've not had any trophy. But we're paying our captain, coach over $40,000 and all that, and nobody is talking about it. But then if you look at the contribution the church has made to the nation in terms of even employment, besides our infrastructural strength, and besides the fact that churches have the best schools and also have one of the best healthcare systems, we also contribute in terms of employment. If you look at the way the church employs people, just the Church of Pentecost, look at how many people they employ. Look at the Assemblies of God. Look at me alone. Look at the church, the people I employ under my organization. And so when you bring it all together with the Catholics and all that, that if we are not second to the government, we'll be third right after.
But there's a school of thought that says that you don't really need such a big edifice for Christianity to go on. You don't need such an edifice for people to do the work of God.
You see, this is not an edifice which is going to propel Christianity.
Okay.
With or without this edifice, Christianity will still be strong.
It has been strong over these years.
We all have to understand that having the Bible even states that we are the temple of God, but then the cathedral itself represents the strength and the vibrancy of Christianity. Okay. But we have to know this, that a lot of people just talk about the cost and what the nation needs and all that. Nobody is talking about the 1,500 workers that shall be on that site until it is completed. Okay. And when it is completed, we are going to have more workers working there. And you can look at the trend of events after this is completed. It's going to change the tourism industry and the income that this particular venture will bring to us, because there is no nation in Ghana, in Africa or in the world that has a cathedral with a biblical garden, with a museum. There is no country like that. And so it's not like we are doing a try and error. It is we are so optimistic that this is a game changer for our tourism industry. And there will be people from all over the world, because every cathedral in the world attracts people. And as the CNN reported, if we're able to build this cathedral, it will be one of the most iconic cathedrals in the world. So I think that Ghana needs this monument. Besides the fact that it is a sign of an appreciation to the goodness of God towards us. I was just listening to you about the COVID-19. Look at how I was in America a few weeks ago. Look at how the nation people are dying, and look at how God has saved us. Around us, every country around Ghana has encountered civil war. But some way, somehow, God has been merciful unto us. And so to even say we are building this to the glory of God, and to say thank you to God for protecting us from nothing at all, from COVID-19, when the West thought that the most affected continent would be Africa. Some way, somehow, God protected us, and we are still here. It is worth building.
Well, we wish you all the best in putting this together. But let me find out, how has the contribution been, especially the 100 cedis per an individual?
Oh, thank you, Aisha. I pray. Before we came on air, I remember one of your people telling you to contribute. I wish every Ghanaian could. You want to raise 1 million people that can give the cathedral 100 Ghana cedis a month.
Okay.
Some pay all, others pay every month. Some pay bi-monthly. Okay. And it's so obvious. Being a nation that believes in God, we all believe, Muslims believe it, Christians believe it, that when you give, you can receive. That is why the whole chief imam even called us and gave us money to support the cathedral, because he knows the blessings in giving. And so I would like to take this opportunity to tell all my viewers that everything you do for yourself, Aisha, you do for yourself, anything I do for myself, ends on me, expires on me. But whatever we do for God and for humanity, go beyond us and speaks even after we are dead and gone. I know of rich people that we used to live with in Kumasi. They were extremely rich. Some built 20 houses, some built 30 houses for their kids. After their death, their children have sold everything they labored for. They've sold every single thing and they are broke. But then when you support the work of God, and let's say you give God 100 Ghana cedis every single month, the interesting thing is that there is a system that the moment you enter the cathedral, there's something like a desk, it's a computer. The moment you type your name, Aisha, a whole tree will come. And Aisha will tell you where you are and how you are able to help support the cathedral. There is also the category of people that want to give us 100,000 Ghana cedis a year or more. That makes it 8,200 Ghana cedis a month or more. Those are the ones that we are going to put on the wall of fame of the cathedral with their names written with gold. In the next 100, 200, 300 years, they will still be there. And there is also the third category of people that want to do 200, 500,000, 3,000. They will also have a silver wall whose names will be displayed. Every single one. And that is why if you are paying via our short code, star 979 hash, star 979 hash, your name should be included, because we are collating every single name, and for everyone that gives to support, whether you gave 100,000 or 1 million or 3 million, it's very interesting. The Indian community, which of course is a Buddhist community, came to donate to this cause. An Israeli head of this and is trying to mobilize a lot of Israelis to come and support us with 1 million Ghana cedis a few weeks ago. And we have all manner of people all over the nation and all over the world trying to support us. And that is why I'm confident we are finishing it on the 6th of March 2024.
So come 6th of March 2024, there will be a national cathedral.
There will be a national cathedral. There will be the biggest biblical museum. And then there will be the only biblical gardens in the whole of Africa with the Wailing Wall in the midst of it.
I'm grateful for your time. Reverend Victor Kusi Boateng is a member of Board of Trustees for the National Cathedral. Ghana is introducing a new early childhood education policy. The policy seeks to strengthen the subsystems of basic education. Now, joining me in the studio to understand the policy better is Vida Babranto, who is the Director for Early Childhood Education at the Ghana Education Service. Good to see you, Barbara. First, I want you to take us through what this whole, this new policy entails.
Okay, thank you very much. We had education reforms in 2007, which brought the early childhood education under the basic education. Previously, the basic education does not see early childhood education as part of it. But in coming in of the reform,
the new policy,
the reform, early childhood education became part of the basic education system. But most things were not spelled out in the document. For instance, the curriculum. What should the curriculum entail? What should the children learn? The teachers who are supposed to teach these children. And then what sort of infrastructure should they sit in to learn? So these are some of the things that we saw that there is some gap. And for us to strengthen the ECE subsector, we needed to work on it. So needs assessment was done, and we collected data also. Diagnostic assessment was also done. And then with the education sector analysis, 2018's report, we also generated empirical evidence from it, which also said that the early childhood education has not been given the needed attention. So this led to the development of the early childhood education policy.
First, let's understand the gaps that you're talking about.
Okay, thank you. Some of the gaps that we identified that helped us to develop the policy, we put them together and we had 6 action areas. And the first one is planning, effective planning and management. Okay. How do we plan for these children, their needs and everything? That was a gap. And then also the curriculum. What should these children learn? Or what should the curriculum entail? And then the teachers who teach these children, the pre-service teachers and then the in-service teachers. What should they know? Okay. So that they will be able to teach these children. So that was the 3rd action area. Okay. And the 4th action area is family community engagement. Okay. And we saw that this very action area was a very big gap. Parents don't know what their children learn, and teachers also how to communicate with parents to know what their children learn was also a problem. Parents want one thing, and then the teachers are also doing another thing altogether. So that is the 4th action area. And the 5th action area was safe school environments. How do we protect these children at where they learn? Okay. What kind of infrastructure should they have, sit in it, and then to learn? And I must say the current government promised to build 1,771 kindergarten model schools, which they've started, and we are very much appreciative to that. So that one also addresses the 5th action area. And then the 6th action area also talks about monitoring, regulatory, and evaluation. So all these are the gaps that we developed the policy around.
Okay, but generally, what does this new framework, what does it seek to achieve?
The policy or the framework seeks to achieve or to strengthen the ECE subsector. Okay. And then also to coordinate and collaborate with key stakeholders and also address equity, vulnerability, and then the disadvantaged. So in doing this, what do we want to achieve? We want to give the child the holistic development that the child needs. Because as you know, kindergarten is the foundation of all levels of education. So if the foundation is weak, the other levels of education becomes something that we can talk about. So we needed to pay much attention to our kindergarten education.
Let's look at how soon this will be implemented.
We've started with the implementation already. And before I continue, the policy framework is in 3 documents. Okay. We have the policy directive, which is this one. Okay. And let me see. That is the main document. Okay. And then we have the guidelines that also talks about how the policy should be implemented. Those who are responsible for it, for the implementation. Okay. And then we also have the indicator framework and costed implementation plan. So all the activities in the policy have been broken down into smaller activities. And with the support of UNICEF International, we've costed every activity in the policy. Okay. So that if an NGO or a partner wants to support us to implement an aspect of the activities, everything is there. So the costing becomes the basis for anybody who wants to support us. And with the implementation, the policy says we should form the policy says we should form a committee that will oversee every activity of the implementation of the policy. Okay. So we've done that one. And then also the curriculum, that one has also been taken care of because in 2019, we came up with a standardized based curriculum. Previously, we were using the objective-based curriculum, which is centered around examination. And at the end of the day, if the child fails the exams, there is nothing more for the child to do. So the standard-based curriculum is there, where it will nurture the skills that the child has. So that at the end of the day, if the child completes school and does not even further, at least the child has some skills that the child can work with. So the curriculum has been taken care of. And then also we have the teachers, pre-service and then in-service. So the pre-service is under the colleges of education, and they will come to train our teachers. And we are interested in whatever goes on there at the early childhood colleges.
Do you have a target as to when you want this to, a target? You talked about monitoring and evaluation. So you have a target of maybe 3-4 years, what you seek to achieve?
Okay, for the policy, it has to work for 5 years. Then we will review it and then see what we've been able to achieve, what needs to be done, and then we take it from there.
Okay. All right. I wish you all the best as you implement this, but these are the documents, 3.
Yes.
So this is early childhood education policy.
Yes.
And this is the guidelines for
implementation of the policy.
And this one
is the costed implementation plan. And then monitoring.
For this one, I'm grateful for your time, Vidanto. She is the director for early childhood education at the Ghana Education Service. Now, the Deputy Education Minister has been speaking on this.
Ghana's 2-year education policy for kindergarten is part of its commitment to free and compulsory education. In this, it recognizes the benefits of early childhood education and investments made in this area over the past 2 decades towards Sustainable Development Goal 4.2, which specifically seeks to ensure that by 2030, all girls and boys have access to quality early childhood development care, pre-primary education, so that they are ready for primary education.
Kindergarten, kindergarten, kindergarten. The foundation builders. Yes, we are the foundation. Without us, the other level of education will suffer. So pay attention to us. Nurture us. Grant us the needed support so that the foundation will be strong.
I congratulate the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service, and all stakeholders who contributed towards the development of the process, of course, UNICEF as well, especially our parents who also ensured that their voices were heard through the development of this policy. So thank you to all of you who have made this possible today. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and my pleasure to now declare the Early Childhood Education Policy Framework duly launched. I thank you all for your attention.
The National President of the Conference of District Directors of Agriculture, Alhaji Mumun Ibrahim, has charged government to issue a directive to the various municipal and district assemblies to release a percentage of the district assemblies' common fund to their agric directorates for the funding of various agric-related policies. He made this call at the 3rd biennial conference of the district directors of agriculture in Techiman in the Bono East region.
The 3rd biennial conference of the District Directors of Agriculture was held in Techiman under the theme Decentralization and its Impact on Agriculture. National President of the Conference of District Directors of Agriculture, Alhaji Ibrahim Mumuni, bemoaned some of the challenges agri directors go through in accessing funds to aid their various activities.
A lot of challenges as a result of we're not coming together happens one district to the other. Some of them includes the release of our funds, sometimes from the MMDAs to our district department of Agri to work, comes late. The money is released and picking it from the sub-CF and then to the department to work takes a longer time.
However, called on government to issue a directive to local assemblies to release a quota of the assembly's common fund for the funding of agri-related policies.
We suggest that there should be a directive from central government. There should be a directive that at least 2%. I'm not giving a figure for government, but what I'm saying is that looking at it, we have done a lot of work on it, and we know how much averagely planting for export and rural development in a district you spend. So if even the common fund comes and they give us a percentage, that this percentage we are giving it out, but that should be a directive.
Chairman of the occasion and Bono East Regional Minister Kwesi Edujan noted that the conference would help improve the performance of the directorate in terms of providing the needed support to local farmers.
Yeah, this conference is very important, and the theme that they are looking at, the subject, the impact of decentralization, in respect to the agriculture sector. What's the impact? It makes it very effective. It brings the services, of MOFA closer to the farmers, makes it very possible for them to access the necessary services, use, education and sensitization. That comes with the work of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
Guest speaker and dean of the Faculty of Biosciences at the University for Development Studies, Professor Elliot Haruna Al-Hassan, emphasized that a decentralized system will empower various district directors of agriculture in terms of rendering better services to farmers within their localities.
Decentralization, therefore, assigned the full task of policy implementation to you, the district directors. You also, through this program, have some logistics that helps you to reach out to farmers in the field, to provide requisite technical support and transfer knowledge, technical knowledge for better agronomic practices, etc. Clearly, without decentralization, such resources would have been controlled from the center, with the attendant problems of bureaucracy, red tapeism, etc.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
And in Accra and in the studio, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. The John A. Kufuor Foundation is calling on government and the private sector to expand investment in mechanization services for farmers if the country can become self-sufficient in rice production. Ghana currently spends about $600 million annually importing rice despite local capacity to produce more than enough. The foundation says the only way to ensure local rice becomes widely available to all Ghanaians is to ensure tools like tractors and combined harvesters are available to smallholder farmers who don't have the capital to afford it. Now, it has launched an initiative with other stakeholders to make these services available to farmers. Policy advisor at the foundation, Nanama Oponjia, now joins us live in the studio for more. Good to see you, Nanama. First, tell me about what you're doing to actually encourage the production of rice locally and also the support you're giving to farmers in this direction.
Okay, so let me first of all say thank you to the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa that is supporting and funding this initiative. Other partners are also, of course, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and Hopeline. The foundation supports an enabling environment in the whole of the value chain. And one of the things we've done is to advocate for the rice associations that we put together, what we call the Ghana Rice Interprofessional Body, to have feet in all the 16 regions. So that is one of the key things that we did, to make sure that they are represented in all the 16 regions in Ghana. Specifically for mechanization, we have certified over 242 mechanization service providers in collaboration with the engineering services department. And we have also linked them, we have mapped them. So if you pick an area, like an operational area that MOFA uses, for example, we have mapped the service providers to this area so that it's easy for them to find the farmers. We are working with people like Tractor to do this. And then we are launching what we call the Farm Crutch in collaboration with Hopeline, one of our partners, where you can have a one-stop service for all mechanization service provided, inputs and all of that. So there are a number of initiatives in mechanization for that. But another key thing which really frames the whole of the sector is the National Rice Development Strategy that we're also supporting the government to revise and to publish.
Okay, so you lay much emphasis on mechanization. I want to know, what role does mechanization play in rice farming in general?
Yeah, so rice is not like any other crop. So if you pick maize, for example, even if the land is bumpy, you can just plant your maize, even though that's not a good practice. But rice specifically needs very even land that has been well prepared, where the lumps are all broken down and it's relatively flat. And that's why rice is special and requires quite a bit of mechanization. And it also needs water. So based on these two requirements that rice has, it's something that requires mechanization. So of course you need the tractors, you need the threshers, you need you also need irrigation facilities to support you in the rice production. I think a lot of the time, if you just buy a tractor, it's very easy to buy a tractor. You can just do a procurement for that. But what really takes time is putting in place an irrigation infrastructure or developing land that you can plant the rice on. And that is where sometimes we have a challenge in the country, because land preparation and land development for rice is expensive. And irrigation is very expensive. So that is why rice needs a lot of mechanization.
And of course, you've also indicated that farmers are unable to afford the prices for this mechanization. So what's the role of the private sector and especially government in making sure that farmers are provided with these mechanization machines?
The private sector can come up, especially when it comes to tractors and those kinds of mechanization equipment that are not so cost extensive, like a combine harvester, a tractor, threshers, and power tillers and those kinds of things. But the government really needs to pay attention to irrigation infrastructure, because it's very expensive for private sector to do this. And there's a lot of issues with land acquisition and chieftaincy issues that is best suited when government, works much better when government takes the lead. And like I said, apart from irrigation, also the basic land preparation. So if governments can take that part of the cost, then the private sector can also come in with the milling, storage, logistics for marketing and those kinds of stuff.
And so where can farmers get these machines?
Like I said, AESD, I think the government brought in some machinery, but the challenge, I think the problem is not really the where. It's the financing. So how do I get a tractor? Everybody, if you go to mechanization, there are quite a lot of tractors there that are available. But the challenge is that the farmers are not able to buy this. So the government needs to look at what are the funding mechanisms that we can come up with so that the farmers can afford this. There was the GCAP, which provided some form of subsidy, but I think they also don't have as much capacity, because under the GCAP, also with Ghana Rice Interprofessional Body, for example, we're able to get about 70 or so power tillers for some of the rice members. So it's happening, but the scale at which it's happening is really low. And for the kind of yield we want, we really need to make sure that we put in place these funding mechanisms, leasing arrangements, irrigation infrastructure, and land preparation. Because Accra Plains alone can feed the country, or even in Cape Coast, there's land. It's just getting it ready and getting water ready for the farmers. That's where the challenge is.
But of course, with the onset of COVID-19, every sector has been affected, and so are farmers. Now that we are getting out gradually, what should farmers do differently to enable them actually perform more so that we have food security in the country?
So apart from the normal COVID protocols that we know, I think it will be good to reduce the face-to-face interactions like we all know. And that can only be done if you mechanize your farm. If you have a tractor, one person can plow acres and acres on end. If you have planters, for example, one person can plow several acres. Or if you have a combine harvester, one person on a combine can also harvest so much. So I think we shouldn't go back and say now COVID is going, so no. If we want to be self-sustainable, then we must mechanize.
Okay.
We must. We have to.
I'm grateful for your time. Nanama Opon Gia. She is the policy advisor for the J.A. Kufuor Foundation. She's been explaining why farmers need to do more, and government and private sector need to support farmers for local rice production. We'll take a break on the pulse. When we return, there's a very latest coming from the world of sports.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on JoyNews. Pulse with me, Ore Kwampofo. Holders Chelsea will play French side Lille in the Champions League last 16 after the draw for the knockout stages took place for a dramatic second time. A technical problem caused an error in the initial draw around 11 a.m., which UEFA said had been declared void. Premier League champions Manchester City face Portugal's Sporting Lisbon, while six-time champions Liverpool will play three-times winners Inter Milan. Manchester United face Spanish champions Atletico Madrid in the standout tie of the round. 13-time champions Real Madrid come up against French powerhouse Paris Saint-Germain. It's now time to take a look at the full draw, looking at the 8 fixtures that would be played in the Champions League in February. Salzburg face Bayern Munich, and Sporting CP would be at home to face Manchester City. Benfica host Mohamed Kudus's Ajax. Chelsea, who are the defending champions, play Lille. Manchester United would face Atletico Madrid as Villarreal host Juventus. Inter play against Liverpool as arguably the tie of the round sees Paris Saint-Germain face Real Madrid. Joining me in studio is Joel Botte of the Joy Sports team, who kept a keen eye on the draw. Which fixture do you think stands out for you?
Looking at this particular draw, I'm looking at the United fixture, and I'm also looking at PSG Madrid's fixture. I believe those two ties are ones that could actually tell a lot of where this competition is going to go. You know, Messi is in Paris Saint-Germain, and you know Ronaldo is in United. Can they hold that, as Ronaldo has that record against Atletico? Can he once again show how great he is against Atletico Madrid? And can Messi also shock the world again against Madrid and do something powerful?
Well, the match itself is 2 months away from now. But if you're looking at what you've seen so far of the season, the first 4 or 5 months, the 2 fixtures that you mentioned, who do you think currently has the upper hand?
Looking at the United Atletico fixture, I would give the upper hand to Atletico. They are not doing bad in their league, and they're also not struggling. When you look at United right now, they are still trying to find their feet under Ralf Rangnick, and they are still trying to find themselves as what kind of style they're going to play. It's going to take time. They still have that balance in there, but I believe that Atletico is a more balanced side, and they can definitely pull out a shocker against Manchester United. When you look at PSG and you look at Madrid, Madrid are playing a lot of composed football under Ancelotti. PSG are also struggling in there, and they're trying to see how best they can combine that attacking power that they have. I still believe in Lionel Messi.
I've always said he's one that can definitely make the difference in games that need difference makers. But let's see what Madrid can do with Vinicius, who is on form, and let's see what Benzema can do in there too.
Well, in terms of the other fixtures, Chelsea playing against Lille, Bayern also facing Salzburg, and Manchester City playing against Sporting Lisbon. Do you see any upset coming in with these mismatches?
To be honest, I don't find any upsets coming in there because these are strong teams in the Champions League. They always qualify almost every season, and they are the teams that always control what happens after quarterfinals. I doubt Lille, Salzburg, or any other team can pose a threat to any of these teams, and I definitely see the top teams going through easily.
Let's just pull up the fixtures on our screen again. I want Joel to do a little exercise before we wrap up here. So Joel, 8 games, 16 teams. Can you tell me the 8 teams that you think would qualify from these fixtures as things do stand?
So the teams I'm looking at is Bayern Munich, Manchester City, Ajax, Chelsea, Atletico Madrid, Juventus, Liverpool, and also Madrid.
Very interesting. Not a lot of surprises, but of course, Champions League football has never worked that way. But remember that the round of 16 ties are 2 months away at least, with the first legs being played around February 15th, 16th, and then 21st and 22nd. And then the second leg ties being played in March as well. So a lot of things can change between now and February in terms of the Champions League. But those are the fixtures, and those are some analysis on how things stand and how things are looking for these teams. That's how we wrap up the sports here. You can get some more sports stories on my JoyNews.com/sports or on Twitter @JoySportsGH. My name is Ore Kuampofo.
I've indeed enjoyed my almost 2-hour stay with you. Up next is Let's Talk Showbiz, but you can go on myjoyonline.com. You get updates of all the developing stories. Enjoy the rest of our programs.